Maya's hands didn't shake as she held the receipt. They should have. The paper was thin, ordinary. A restaurant bill from Seattle dated 3 days ago. Brad had told her he'd been in Phoenix. "Mom." Emma's voice came from the hallway, small and careful. Maya folded the receipt once, twice, and slipped it into her pocket before turning around. Her daughter stood in her pajamas, 11 years old and already learning to read the air in a room. "Hey, sweetie. Couldn't sleep?" Emma shook her head. Her blonde hair, the same shade as Maya's, caught the kitchen light. "Is Dad still at the airport?" He texted. "His flight's delayed." Maya heard her own voice, steady and practiced. She'd become good at this, at smoothing over the rough edges, at pretending the foundation wasn't cracking beneath them. "Want some tea?" "You always make tea when you're upset." The observation landed like a stone in still water. Maya reached for the kettle anyway, needing her hands to do something other than tremble. Through the window above the sink, she could see their neighbor's porch light, steady and warm. The Hendersons had been married 43 years. Maya had made it to 12, though she wasn't sure how many of those had been real. "I'm not upset," she said, filling the kettle. "Just tired." Emma moved closer, her bare feet silent on the tile. "He's been on 5 trips this year." "It's only May." Maya's fingers tightened on the faucet handle. 5 trips. 5 separate weeks, when Brad had kissed her forehead, promised he'd be back soon, told her the promotion depended on this client, this deal, this opportunity. 5 times she'd believe him, because believing was easier than the alternative. "Your dad works hard," Maya said, the words automatic. "You work hard." Emma climbed onto the counter stool, her legs swinging. "You teach classes every day. You come to my stuff. You're here." The emphasis on the last word cut clean through. Maya turned off the water and set the kettle on the stove, buying herself a moment before facing her daughter. When she did, Emma's expression was older than it should have been, knowing and sad and trying not to be either. "People show love in different ways," Maya tried. "Do they?" 2 words. A child's question, with an adult's skepticism behind it. Maya thought of the receipt in her pocket, of Brad's text messages that had grown shorter over the months, of the way he looked past her lately instead of at her. She thought of her own reflection in the bathroom mirror that morning. Blonde hair pulled back, blue eyes tired, 34 years old and feeling like she was disappearing one day at a time. The kettle began to whistle. "Go back to bed, Emma. School tomorrow." Emma slid off the stool but didn't leave. "Mom, when you were little, did you think grown-ups had everything figured out?" Maya's throat tightened. "Yeah, I did." Monday morning arrived with rain that matched Maya's mood. She dropped Emma at school, watching her daughter's backpack disappear through the double doors, then sat in the car for 3 extra minutes. Just breathing. Just existing in a space where she didn't have to perform. Brad had left early for the office without breakfast. Barely a word exchanged between them. The weekend had passed in careful politeness, both of them moving through the house like strangers sharing an elevator. Maya had added more notes to her phone. Miami in February, said Chicago. San Diego in March, said Denver. Austin in April, said Dallas, 5 trips, 5 lies. She'd gone back through the calendar, through her memories, finding the inconsistencies she'd trained herself not to see. The community center smelled like coffee and chalk dust when Maya arrived. She balanced her supply box against her hip while unlocking the art room, flipping on lights that hummed to life over rows of tables scattered with last week's unfinished projects. This room was hers in a way nothing else felt like hers anymore. A space she'd built from nothing 3 years ago, turning a dusty storage area into a place where people came to remember they could create something. "You're here early." Maya turned. James stood in the doorway, holding 2 paper cups, steam rising from the lids. He was 50-something, with gray threading through dark hair and laugh lines that suggested he'd earned them honestly. He'd started volunteering 6 months ago after his wife passed, showing up to help with setup and staying to sweep floors after classes ended. He never talked much about himself, but he listened like it mattered. "Couldn't sleep," Maya said, setting down her box. James handed her one of the cups. "Thought you might need this. You've had that look lately." "What look?" "The one that says you're holding up the whole sky and pretending it doesn't weigh anything." Maya wrapped her hands around the warm cup, the observation landing too close to truth. She'd gotten good at pretending, at making her face a mask that said everything was fine. But James noticed things. The way she flinched when her phone buzzed. The forced brightness in her voice when Brad called during class. The sketches in her book that had grown darker over the months. Figures turning away, empty chairs, doors half closed. "I'm okay," she said automatically. "You don't have to be." The simple statement cracked something in her chest. Maya turned away, busying herself with arranging paintbrushes, blinking back the sudden sting in her eyes. When was the last time someone had given her permission not to be okay? When had she last given herself that permission? "James, can I ask you something?" Maya kept her eyes on the brushes. "Your wife. Did you ever know something was wrong, but pretend you didn't?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out a chair and sat, his movements careful. "Sarah had cancer for 3 years before she died. I knew something was wrong months before she got diagnosed. She'd be tired, lose her appetite, make excuses. I didn't push. I let her tell me she was fine because hearing it was easier than demanding the truth. Do you regret it?" "Every day." His voice was soft but steady. "Not because it would have changed the outcome. The cancer was already stage for when we found it. But because we lost months of honesty. Months where we could have talked about what mattered instead of pretending tomorrow was guaranteed." He paused. "Whatever you're not saying, Maya, it's costing you something. I can see it." Maya finally looked at him. His expression held no judgment, just a quiet understanding that came from his own survived pain. She thought about the note on her phone, the evidence accumulating like stones in her pockets. She thought about Emma, watching and waiting for her mother to stop pretending. "Brad's having an affair," she heard herself say. The words felt strange in her mouth, real in a way they hadn't been when they were just suspicions in her head. 5 business trips this year. None of them were where he said they'd be. James didn't look shocked. He nodded slowly, like she confirmed something he'd already suspected. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." Maya's laugh came out bitter. "I don't even know who I am without him anymore. We've been together since college. Married 12 years. Everything I built around him. Our house. Our life. Even this," she gestured at the art room. "I only started teaching because he suggested it when Emma started school. Said I needed a hobby. Is that what this is? A hobby?" Maya looked around the room, at the student paintings drying on the rack, at the supply shelves she'd organized by color, at the window where afternoon light would pour in during her advanced class, making everything glow. She thought of the teenagers who came in angry and left calmer, the seniors who rediscovered joy through watercolors, the young mother who'd cried when she finished her first real painting in 10 years. No, Maya said quietly. It's not. Then maybe, James said, you've been building more than you thought. Just not around him. Around yourself. Before Maya could respond, voices echoed from the hallway. Her Monday morning class arriving. 6 regulars and whoever else wandered in. Maya straightened, smoothing her shirt, reaching for the mask again. James stood. I'll set up the back tables. Then, quieter. You're stronger than you think you are. I've seen you handle crisis mid-class, when supplies spilled, when arguments broke out, when that kid had a panic attack last month. You didn't fall apart. You just handled it. He left her there, and Maya tried to hold onto his words as her students filtered in. Mrs. Patterson with her walker. The Ramirez twins who took the class together. Young Marcus, who was here on community service but kept coming back anyway because he'd found he loved charcoal portraits. The morning passed in the rhythm of instruction and encouragement, of helping hands find the right angle, the right pressure, the right way to see light and shadow. Maya lost herself in it the way she always did, in this space where she knew exactly who she was and what she was doing. At lunch, she sat alone in the break room, checking her phone. Brad had texted, *late meeting tonight. Don't wait up, *. Maya stared at the message. Once, she would have accepted it without question. Now she wondered if there was a meeting at all, or if Kara from the office would be there, if they'd leave separately and meet somewhere, if Brad would come home smelling like someone else's perfume and Maya would pretend not to notice. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She could respond with the usual okay, or see you later. She could keep the performance going. She could. The break room door opened. Emma walked in. Maya's heart jumped. What are you doing here? Is everything okay? Half day. Teacher development. Emma dropped her backpack and sat across from her mother. You forgot. Maya had forgotten. Another thing that had slipped through the cracks lately. I'm sorry, sweetie. I can take you home. I want to stay. Emma pulled out her tablet. I can do homework in your classroom. You don't have to babysit me. I'm not. Her daughter's eyes met hers, clear and direct. Mom, I need to show you something. Emma opened her tablet and pulled up a photo album Maya had never seen. The first image was a beach, turquoise water, white sand, a bright umbrella. In the corner of the frame, barely visible, was Brad. Next to him, Kara, both in swimsuits, both smiling. Miami, Emma said quietly. February. He sent it to the family cloud by mistake, then deleted it. But I'd already saved it. Maya couldn't breathe. She reached for the tablet, swiping to the next photo. San Diego's harbor. Brad and Kara at a restaurant. Then Austin, recognizable by the Capitol building in the background. Seattle with the Space Needle rising behind them. How long have you known? Maya whispered. Since February. I didn't want to tell you because I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were just co-workers. Maybe, Emma's voice cracked. But then he kept lying about where he was going, and I kept finding photos. And I realized you were pretending not to know, and I've been so angry, Mom. At him for lying. At you for letting him. Maya's hands shook as she held the tablet. Here was the proof she'd been avoiding, delivered by her 11-year-old daughter who'd been carrying this weight for months. Emma had seen her mother's suffering and watched her do nothing. And now that same pattern was teaching Emma that this was what love looked like. That this was what you accepted. I'm sorry, Maya said, her voice breaking. Emma, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have had to. I don't want you to be sorry. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I want you to do something. Because every time he comes home and lies, and you smile and act like everything's fine, I feel like I'm going crazy. Like I'm the only one who sees what's real." Maya pulled her daughter into her arms, both of them crying now in the break room's fluorescent light. She thought of all the times she'd told herself she was staying for Emma, protecting Emma, keeping the family together for Emma's sake. But what she'd really been doing was teaching her daughter that women disappear themselves to keep men comfortable. That truth matters less than peace. That you can love someone who treats you like you don't exist. "You're right," Maya whispered into Emma's hair. "You're absolutely right. I'm going to do something." "When?" "Soon. I promise. But I need to do it carefully, okay? I need to make a plan." Emma pulled back, wiping her eyes. "Can I help?" Maya looked at her daughter's face. So young, but forced to grow up too fast by the adults who should have protected her from this. She thought of James's words about losing months to pretending. She thought of the art room where she was more herself than anywhere else. She thought of the woman she'd been at 22, full of dreams and confidence, before she'd learned to make herself smaller. "Yeah," Maya said. "You can help." That afternoon, after Emma finished her homework at the back table, after James swept the floors and asked if Maya was okay with a glance that said he knew she wasn't, after the building emptied and the rain picked up against the windows, Maya sat alone in her classroom. She opened a fresh sketchbook and began to draw. Not pretty pictures for students to admire. Not careful compositions. She drew what she felt. A figure breaking free from chains that looked like comfort. A door opening onto light that hurt to look at. A woman whose face was her own, blonde hair wild, eyes open, finally seeing. She drew until her hand cramped, until the images poured out faster than she could capture them. 12 years of silence demanding to be seen. 12 years of small concessions that had added up to a whole self erased. 12 years of believing she wasn't enough, smart enough, interesting enough, worth enough to demand honesty. When she finally stopped, the sketchbook was full of truth. Raw and ugly and real. She took a photo of each page and added them to her notes, below the dates and places and baggage tags. Her phone buzzed. "Brad, asterisk stuck in traffic. Might be really late, asterisk." Maya typed back, "Okay." But this time, she added one more thing to her notes. "Day I stopped pretending, May 15. She gathered her things, turned off the lights, and locked the art room behind her. The rain had stopped. Through the community center's front windows, she could see puddles reflecting streetlights, making the wet pavement shine. Maya walked to her car, got in, and sat for a moment before starting the engine. Her phone buzzed again. Not Brad. "James, asterisk proud of you for whatever you're deciding. It's written all over your face, asterisk." She smiled despite everything, despite the fear curling in her stomach, despite not knowing what came next. Because James saw her. Emma saw her. And slowly, finally, Maya was starting to see herself again too. She drove home through streets she'd driven 1,000 times, past houses lit up with other people's lives, and for the first time in months, she didn't feel like she was disappearing. She felt like she was arriving. The week passed in a strange duality. On the surface, everything looked the same: breakfast routines, school drop-offs, art classes, dinner conversations that skimmed across the surface of things. But underneath, Maya was building something. A map of the truth. A plan she couldn't quite see yet, but could feel taking shape. Brad announced his next trip on Thursday night. Maya was washing dishes when he came into the kitchen, loosening his tie the way he always did, the gesture so familiar it used to mean comfort. Now it just meant another lie was coming. "I need to go to Boston next week," he said. scrolling through his phone. Big presentation. Probably 4 days. Maya's hands stilled in the soapy water. When? Monday through Thursday. I know it's Emma's school play on Wednesday, but this is important. The VP will be there. This could be my promotion, Maya. She turned to face him, suds dripping from her hands. You're going to miss her play? It's one play. She'll have others. She's the lead, Brad. She's been rehearsing for 2 months. He sighed, the sound heavy with irritation. You're there. That's what matters. You're always there. The way he said it didn't sound like praise. It sounded like dismissal, like her presence was so constant it had become invisible, meaningless. What if I wasn't? The words came out before Maya could stop them. Brad looked up from his phone, finally meeting her eyes. What? What if I couldn't be there? What if I had something important too? Do you? His tone was careful now, like he was talking to someone unstable. Maya thought about her art show proposal sitting in her email drafts. The gallery owner who'd seen her work and asked if she'd be interested in a small exhibition. She'd been too afraid to even mention it to Brad, too sure he'd find a way to make it small, to make it less than his career, his needs, his endless important things. No, she heard herself say. I'll be there. Brad's shoulders relaxed. Good. Emma's lucky to have you. He kissed the top of her head, absent, automatic, and left the kitchen. Maya stood at the sink, staring at her reflection in the window. Behind her own face, she could see Emma in the doorway. How long had she been standing there? You should do it, Mom, Emma said quietly. The art show. I saw the email. He doesn't get to take everything. Her daughter's voice was fierce in a way that broke Maya's heart. Your time, your dreams, your whole life. He doesn't get to take it all and then leave anyway. Maya dried her hands slowly, buying time to find words that wouldn't crack her open. But Emma was already walking away, her shoulders set in a line of anger that looked too much like resignation, too much like Maya herself. The next morning, Maya opened her laptop before Brad woke up. She pulled up Kara's social media, something she'd been avoiding because seeing it would make it real in a way she couldn't take back. But Emma had already seen. Emma had been carrying the weight of knowing while watching her mother pretend. Kara's page was a timeline of the last 6 months. Miami in February, group photo at a conference, but in the corner, a later post from a restaurant, just 2 wine glasses and a caption, Best work dinner ever. San Diego in March, the harbor at sunset. Austin in April, live music and barbecue. Seattle just last week, the Space Needle lit up at night. And then, posted just yesterday. So excited for Boston next week. This project has been incredible. Boston. The trip Brad had announced last night. Maya took screenshots of everything and added them to her growing file. Then she did something she'd never done before. She looked up Kara's husband. His name was Michael Chun. He had his own social media presence, sparse, mostly photos of their 2 kids, a golden retriever, a nice house in the suburbs. His latest post was from 3 days ago, a photo of him and the kids at a baseball game with the caption, Making memories while mom's working hard. Maya stared at the photo for a long time. Michael looked happy, unconcerned, trusting. Just like she'd been. Just like she'd forced herself to be even when the truth was there, visible, if she'd just allowed herself to see it. She found his email through his business page. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What would she even say? Your wife is having an affair with my husband? It felt cruel, messy, like opening a door she could never close. But Emma's voice echoed in her head. He doesn't get to take everything. Maya saved his contact information and closed the laptop. At the community center that afternoon, Maya taught her teen class. 15 kids, most of them there because a judge or school counselor said they had to be, all of them convinced they couldn't draw. Maya's job was to show them otherwise, to help them see that art wasn't about perfection. It was about truth. Today, they were working on self-portraits. Not photorealistic ones, but emotional ones. Draw how you feel, not how you look, Maya told them. Use color. Use shapes. Use anything that feels true. Marcus, the kid who'd started on community service and kept coming back, raised his hand. What if how we feel is ugly? Then draw ugly, Maya said. Ugly is honest. Ugly is real. Sometimes ugly is the most beautiful thing you can create because it's not trying to be anything except what it is. She watched them work, their heads bent over paper, some frustrated, some focused, all of them trying. And she thought about her own self-portrait, the one she'd been painting for 12 years, smiling, supportive, understanding, fine. Always fine, never ugly, never real. James appeared in the doorway during the last 15 minutes of class. He'd been helping with the community garden project, but always found a reason to check on her. Today he brought coffee again, setting it on her desk without a word, just a small nod that said, "I see you struggling." After the kids left, their self-portraits drying on the rack, a gallery of raw emotion in color and line. James helped her clean up. "My wife used to say that pretending takes more energy than truth," he said, wiping down a table. Said it's like holding your breath underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually you have to come up for air or drown. Maya squeezed paint tubes closed, her hands mechanical. What if coming up means everything changes? It will change anyway. That's the thing about truth. It doesn't wait for permission. Brad's going to Boston next week, Maya said. He's missing Emma's play. The woman he's with posted about Boston too. James stopped wiping. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But I'm tired, James. I'm so tired of pretending. Then stop. 2 words. Simple and impossible. Maya looked at him. This man who'd lost his wife and somehow survived it, who showed up every day to help other people even though his own heart was still healing. He wasn't telling her what to do. He was just reminding her that she could. That evening, Emma's school held a final dress rehearsal for the play. Maya sat in the auditorium with the other parents, watching her daughter command the stage. Emma was playing Jo March in Little Women, the fierce one, the one who refused to shrink herself to fit someone else's expectations, the one who chose her own path. When Emma delivered her final monologue about women having minds and souls and ambitions, her eyes found Maya's in the audience. And Maya understood. This wasn't just a play. This was a message, a question, a challenge. What are you going to do, Mom? After rehearsal, Maya drove Emma home through darkening streets. They didn't talk about the play or school or anything surface level. They just existed together in the car, both knowing something was building, both waiting. At home, Brad was on his laptop at the kitchen table, barely looking up when they came in. How was rehearsal? He asked, eyes on his screen. Good, Emma said flatly. You'd know if you'd been there. Emma. Maya's voice was automatic warning. But Emma wasn't backing down. He should know, Mom. He should know what he's missing. He should. That's enough. Brad closed his laptop, finally looking at them. I'm working. I'm providing for this family. Someone has to. Mom works, Emma shot back. She's there every day teaching people and coming to my stuff and making dinner and... Her hobby doesn't pay for this house, Emma. The word landed like a slap. Hobby. All those hours Maya poured into her classes, all the lives she touched, all the art she created, reduced to a hobby. Something cute. Something less than real. Maya felt something shift inside her. Not breaking. Realigning. Like a bone that had been set wrong finally finding its proper place. Painful and necessary. Go to your room, Emma, Maya said quietly. But, please. Emma looked between them, then left, her footsteps heavy on the stairs. Maya waited until she heard Emma's door close. Then she sat down across from Brad. I want to see your phone, she said. Brad's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Excuse me. Your phone. I want to see it. Maya, what is this about? It's about Boston and Seattle and every other city you've claimed to visit for work. The silence stretched between them, thick and dangerous. Brad's jaw tightened. You're being paranoid. Am I? Maya's voice was steady, surprising her. Then show me your phone. Show me your flight confirmations. Show me that I'm wrong. This is ridiculous. I don't have to prove anything to you. No, Maya said. You don't. And I don't have to keep pretending I believe you. Brad stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. I'm not doing this. I have work to do. Real work. He left the kitchen, and Maya sat alone in the same spot where she'd found the receipt a week ago. But she wasn't the same person who'd sat here then. That Maya had been afraid of the truth. This Maya was building toward it, one small choice at a time. Her phone buzzed. A text from James. How are you holding up? Maya typed back. I'm coming up for air. She looked at her notes app, at all the evidence she'd collected. Then she opened a new message to Michael Chun. She didn't send it. Not yet. But she wrote it, letting the words exist, making them real. My name is Maya, and I think we need to talk about our spouses. She saved it as a draft and went upstairs. Emma's light was still on. Maya knocked softly and entered to find her daughter sitting on the bed, still in her costume, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Emma whispered. I shouldn't have said that stuff. Maya sat beside her and pulled her close. No, you should have. You were right. About all of it. What are you going to do? I'm going to go to your play, Maya said. And then I'm going to stop letting him make me feel small. Emma nodded against her shoulder. Will you do the art show? Maya thought about the gallery owner's email, about the paintings hidden in her closet that she'd been too afraid to show anyone, about the years she'd spent making herself smaller so Brad could feel bigger. Yeah, she said. I will. That night, after Emma was asleep and Brad was locked in his office on a conference call, Maya pulled out her hidden paintings. She spread them across the floor of the guest room, 10 pieces, each one a piece of her truth. Women breaking free. Women standing strong. Women finding themselves in the wreckage of what they'd built for others. She took photos of each one and attached them to her email to the gallery owner. I'd like to do the show, she wrote. The title is coming up for air. Available dates are flexible, but I'm hoping for something soon. Before I lose my nerve. Before I forget who I am again. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. Then she opened the draft to Michael Chun and read it one more time. Her finger hovered over the send button. This would change everything. There would be no going back from this. Maya thought about Emma watching and waiting. She thought about James's wife, who'd lost months to pretending. She thought about the woman she used to be at 22, the one who knew what she wanted and wasn't afraid to reach for it. She hit send. Then she closed her laptop, turned off the light, and slept better than she had in months. Michael Chin called at 7 in the morning. Maya was making coffee when her phone rang, an unknown number lighting up the screen. She knew who it was before she answered. "This is Michael," the voice said. Cautious. Tired. "I got your message." Maya stepped out onto the back porch, closing the door behind her. The morning was cold and gray, matching the knot in her stomach. "I wasn't sure if you'd call." "I almost didn't." A pause. "Then how long have you known?" "A week for certain. Longer if I'm honest about what I was avoiding seeing." Another pause. She could hear him breathing, could feel him trying to hold himself together. She knew exactly how that felt. "Kara told me she had business trips," he said. 5 of them since February. Said it was a special project, that she was being considered for a senior position. I was proud of her. I was." His voice cracked. "God, I'm an idiot." "You're not. You trusted her. That's what you're supposed to do." "Is it?" The question was bitter. Even when every sign is there. Even when your gut tells you something's wrong, but you ignore it because believing is easier. Maya leaned against the porch railing, watching the sun try to break through clouds. "I think sometimes we ignore things because the truth costs too much. Or we think it does. But the pretending costs more. It just builds us slowly." "What are you going to do?" Michael asked. "Brad's supposed to go to Boston this coming week." "Is Kara going?" "Yeah. Monday through Thursday. Same dates he told you." "Yeah." They sat with that confirmation. 2 strangers bound by betrayal, both trying to figure out what came next. "We should meet," Michael said finally. "Compare notes. Figure out exactly what we're dealing with." They arranged to meet that afternoon at a coffee shop across town, somewhere neither of their spouses would accidentally see them. Maya hung up feeling strange, sad and angry, and somehow relieved. She wasn't alone in this. Someone else was coming up for air too. Inside, Brad was in the kitchen, dressed for work. He grabbed his travel mug without looking at her. "I'll be late again tonight. Client dinner." "Okay," Maya said. She didn't ask which client. Didn't ask where. Didn't perform belief anymore. Brad paused at the door, something in her tone making him turn. "You all right?" "Fine," Maya said. It was the same word she'd used 1,000 times, but this time it felt different. This time it felt like goodbye. After he left, Maya got Emma ready for school. Her daughter was quieter than usual, watching Maya with those 2 knowing eyes. "You sent something last night," Emma said in the car. "I heard you typing." "I did." "To him?" "Dad." "No. To someone else who's been lied to. Someone who deserves to know the truth." Emma nodded slowly. "Good." At the community center, Maya found James setting up her classroom. He'd started coming earlier lately, always finding small tasks that needed doing, always creating space for Maya to arrive into something already prepared. "You look different," he said, arranging paintbrushes. "I contacted the other husband. We're meeting this afternoon." James nodded, unsurprised. "That's brave." "It's terrifying." "Same thing sometimes." He handed her coffee. It had become their ritual. "You want company? I could come with you. Sit at another table, just in case." Maya felt tears prick her eyes at the offer. "You do that?" "Maya, I've been watching you carry this alone for months. Before you even knew I was watching, I could see it. The way you'd flinch when he called. The way you'd force brightness into your voice. The way you'd disappear a little more each week." He met her eyes. "You don't have to carry it alone anymore." So that afternoon, after her morning classes, Maya drove to the coffee shop with James following in his own car. He took a table by the window with a book, far enough to give her privacy, but close enough to be there if she needed him. Michael Chun was already there, sitting at a corner table. He was younger than Maya expected, maybe 30, Asian, wearing a polo shirt and khakis that suggested he'd come from an office job. He looked how Maya felt, exhausted, betrayed, trying to hold it together. They recognized each other somehow, maybe by the same wounded look they both wore. Michael stood when Maya approached, and they shook hands like business associates, both pretending this was a normal meeting and not the intersection of two broken hearts. "Thank you for coming," Maya said, sitting down. "Thank you for reaching out." He stopped, started again. "I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't make myself look at it directly." They spread out what they knew. Flight confirmations Maya had screen-grabbed from Brad's email when he left his laptop open. Hotel reservations Michael had found on Kara's credit card statement. Social media posts that matched up date by date. Text messages that were too familiar, too intimate to be just colleagues. "Miami in February," Michael said, pulling up his phone. Kara came home with a tan and gifts for the kids. Said the conference had been by the water. Brad came home saying Chicago had been freezing, Maya added. Said the client meetings had been brutal. They continued like this, building the timeline together. Each piece of evidence, another nail in the coffin of their marriages. By the time they finished, they had 5 trips documented. 5 separate times their spouses had chosen to be together instead of with them. "What's worst," Michael said quietly, "is that I was happy for her. When she got home, excited about the projects, talking about her career growth, I was proud. I took extra time with the kids so she could rest. I was supporting her in lying to me." Maya understood exactly what he meant. She'd done the same thing, made space for Brad's trips, held down the home front, made everything easy for him so he could focus on what was really important. Except what was really important was someone else. "The Boston trip is Monday," Maya said. "What if we both show up? Not to make a scene, just to see them together, to have absolute proof." Michael shook his head. "I have proof. So do you. What we need is a plan for after. Do you have kids?" "1. Emma. She's 11. She's known for months," Maya admitted. "I thought I was protecting her by keeping things stable. But all I was doing was teaching her that this is what love looks like." "I have 2, Michael said. 6 and 8. They don't know yet. They think their mom is a hero working hard to give them a good life." His voice broke. "How do I tell them?" "I don't know. But Emma told me something last week. She said she felt like she was going crazy because everyone was pretending everything was fine when it obviously wasn't. She said she was angry at me for letting it happen." Maya's hands tightened around her coffee cup. "Our kids see more than we think. And what they're learning is that it's okay to lie, okay to stay when you're not wanted, okay to make yourself small." They sat in heavy silence. Across the room, James looked up from his book, caught Maya's eye, and gave her a small nod of support. "I'm filing for divorce," Michael said finally. "I'm going to talk to a lawyer this week. I'm not going to Boston. I'm not confronting her there. I'm going to be home with my kids, and when she gets back, I'm going to tell her I know, and that it's over." Just like that. Just like that. Because if I try to fix this, try to forgive this, try to work through this, I'm teaching my kids that this is acceptable. That when someone you love betrays you 5 times, not once, not a mistake, but 5 planned trips, you just swallow it and move on. He looked at Maya, directly. What are you going to do? Maya thought about Emma's play on Wednesday, about her art show the gallery owner had already confirmed for 3 weeks from now, about the life she'd built at the community center, the people who depended on her, the version of herself she became in that building. I'm going to his Boston trip, she said slowly. Not to confront them, to document it, to have absolute certainty. And then I'm going to come home, watch my daughters play, and start building a life that's mine. Do you love him? Michael asked. Brad. Maya considered the question. I love who I thought he was. But that person doesn't exist. Maybe he never did. Maybe I just built him in my head because I needed him to be someone worth disappearing for. Yeah, Michael said quietly. Yeah, I get that. They exchanged lawyer recommendations and promised to stay in touch. As Maya stood to leave, Michael caught her hand. Thank you, he said, for being brave enough to reach out. I might have kept ignoring it for years if you hadn't. We saved each other, Maya said. That's something. She walked back to James's table. He closed his book and stood, reading her face. You okay? He asked. No, but I will be. They walked out together into the gray afternoon. Maya felt raw and exposed, but also lighter somehow. The truth was out there now. She'd spoken it out loud to someone who understood. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't imagining things. She was just a woman who'd loved someone who hadn't loved her back the same way, and now she had to figure out what to do with that knowledge. Coffee at my place? James offered. My late wife was a therapist. I still have all her books on navigating hard transitions. Thought they might help. Maya smiled despite everything. You're trying to take care of me. Someone should. They drove separately to James's house, a small craftsman-style home with a garden in front that clearly got attention. Inside it was neat and spare, filled with photos of James and a beautiful woman with dark hair and a bright smile. Sarah, his late wife. She was everywhere, her books still on the shelves, her coffee mug still on the counter, her presence still held in the space. You haven't moved on, Maya said gently. I have, James corrected. I've just chosen to move forward with her still part of me. She doesn't get erased just because she's gone. He made tea and brought Maya a stack of books about divorce, about co-parenting, about rebuilding your life after betrayal. She sat on his couch and felt the weight of the next steps pressing down on her. Can I tell you something? James said, sitting in the chair across from her. When Sarah was sick in those last months, she made me promise something. She made me promise that I wouldn't spend the rest of my life alone out of loyalty to her memory. She said life was too short to live half of it grieving. What did you say? I promised. And then she died, and I spent a year doing exactly what she'd made me promise not to do. I was so angry at her for leaving, so angry at myself for not pushing her to see a doctor sooner, so angry at the world for being cruel. He looked at the photos on the wall. And then one day I woke up and realized I was wasting the life she'd fought so hard for me to keep living. Is that why you started volunteering? Partly. But also because I saw you there one day teaching those kids, and you had this light in you, this real thing. And over the months, I watched that light dim, watched you shrink, watched you become less. He met her eyes, and I thought, here's someone dying while they're still alive. Here's someone who needs to remember they're worth fighting for. Maya's throat tightened. I don't know how to fight for myself. I've spent so long fighting for everyone else. Then, learn. Start small. One choice at a time. You already started. You reached out to Michael. You're planning the art show. You're going to Boston. These are all choices that say you matter. What if I fail? What if I leave Brad and I can't support Emma and I lose everything? You won't. You have skills. You have people who value you. You have yourself and Maya. That's more than enough. James leaned forward. I've seen you handle crisis after crisis at that center. You don't fall apart. You just handle it. This is the same thing. Just handle it one day at a time. They talked for hours, until the gray afternoon turned to evening. James shared stories about Sarah, about the hard conversations they'd had when they knew time was running out. Maya shared stories about Emma, about the girl she used to be before Brad, about the dreams she'd put away in boxes thinking she'd come back to them later. When Maya finally left, it was dark outside. She sat in her car for a moment, looking at James's house all lit up, warm and welcoming. A place where someone had loved fully and lost and survived it. A place where hard things had happened and life had continued anyway. Her phone buzzed. Emma, where are you? Dad's asking. Maya typed back, on my way. 20 minutes. Then she opened her banking app and looked at her finances. She'd been putting some of her teaching money into a separate account for years, just a little each month. She'd called it her emergency fund, but never really believed she'd need it. It wasn't much, but it was something, a start. She drove home slowly, rehearsing what she'd say to Brad, how she'd act normal for just a little longer. Just until after Emma's play. Just until after Boston. Just until she had everything lined up. At home, Brad was in his usual spot on the couch, laptop open, barely looking up when she came in. Long class, he asked. Something like that. Maya set her bag down. I need to book a trip. That got his attention. He looked up, surprised. A trip. For my art. There's a supply conference in Boston this coming week. Monday through Wednesday. I thought I'd go, since you'll be there anyway. We could have dinner one night. She watched his face carefully. Watched the panic flicker across it before he covered it with forced casualness. I'll be in meetings most nights, he said. It's a tight schedule. That's okay. I'll be busy too. I just thought it would be nice. We never travel together anymore. Maybe next time. This trip is really work-focused. Sure, Maya said lightly. Just a thought. She went upstairs, leaving him there with his laptop and his lies. Emma was in her room, door cracked open. Mom, she called softly. Maya went in. Emma was sitting on her bed with her tablet, her face serious. I heard you on the phone earlier, Emma said. With that man, Michael. Maya sat beside her. You did. His wife is the one Dad's with, isn't she? Yes. Emma nodded slowly, processing. What's going to happen? I don't know exactly. But it's going to change. All of it. Maya took her daughter's hand. Are you scared? A little. But also, Emma looked at her mother directly. Also kind of relieved. Is that bad? No, baby. It's not bad. It's honest. Will we be okay? You and me. Maya thought about James's words, about choosing yourself one day at a time. Yeah, she said. We will. We'll be better than okay. We'll be real. Emma leaned against her, and they sat together in the quiet, both of them breathing easier, knowing the pretending was almost over. Downstairs, Maya's phone buzzed with an email. The gallery owner. Perfect. Your show is confirmed for June 3rd. The paintings are stunning, Maya. People need to see this work. You're telling a story that matters. Maya read it twice, letting the words sink in. Someone thought her work mattered. Someone saw value in what she'd created from her pain. She typed back, "Thank you. I'll be ready." And for the first time in 12 years, she believed it. Sunday evening, Maya sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open and a one-way ticket to Boston pulled up on the screen. Monday morning flight, Wednesday evening return. Brad thought she'd change her mind about the supply conference. Emma knew the truth. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Emma asked from the doorway, her voice small. Maya looked at her daughter, 11 years old and forced into adulthood too soon by the adults who should have protected her from this. "No, but I'm doing it anyway. What if you see them together? What if it's worse than you think? Then I'll know for certain, and knowing is better than wondering." Emma came and sat beside her. "James called earlier. Said to tell you he believes in you." Maya smiled despite the anxiety churning in her stomach. James had become an anchor these past 2 weeks, steady and certain when everything else felt like it was crumbling. He'd offered to come to Boston with her, to be there as support, but Maya had declined. This was something she needed to see with her own eyes, to face alone. "I'm going to stay with Aunt Rachel while you're gone," Emma said. Rachel was Maya's sister, who'd been suspicious of Brad for years. "She keeps asking if you're okay." "What do you tell her?" "That you're getting there." Maya purchased the ticket. One click and it was done. In 12 hours, she'd be on a plane. In 24, she'd be following her husband through a city where he thought he was invisible. Brad came home late that night, as he had every night that week. Maya was in bed pretending to sleep when he showered and slipped under the covers. She lay in the dark listening to his breathing even out, wondering how many times he'd lain beside her thinking about someone else. Wondering when she'd stopped mattering to him, or if she ever had. Monday morning came gray and cold. Brad left at 5 for an early flight. Maya waited an hour, then got ready herself. She dropped Emma at Rachel's house, accepting her sister's worried hug and promising to call. "Whatever you find there," Rachel said, "remember you're not alone. You have me. You have Emma. You have people who see your worth even if he doesn't." At the airport, Maya sat in the terminal watching families and business travelers, everyone moving through their lives, while hers was about to crack completely open. Her phone buzzed. "James, safe flight. You're braver than you know." The flight was smooth. Maya spent it staring out the window at clouds, rehearsing what she'd do when she got there. She'd booked a hotel room near the convention center where Brad claimed his meetings would be. She'd done research, found the hotel where Kara's company always booked rooms, the same one Brad had mentioned he'd be staying at. It wasn't until the plane was landing that Maya let herself think about what she was really doing. She was choosing truth over comfort, evidence over denial, herself over a marriage that had been dead for months, maybe years. Boston was bustling and cold, the wind cutting through Maya's jacket as she took a taxi to her hotel. She checked in, dropped her bag, and immediately walked to the hotel 3 blocks away, the Harborview Grand, where Brad had said his company booked rooms. The lobby was elegant, full of business travelers with their rolling suitcases and important expressions. Maya found a seat with a view of the elevators and main entrance and waited. She didn't have to wait long. At 4:30, Brad walked through the lobby with Kara. They weren't touching, but there was an ease between them that cut Maya deeper than if they'd been holding hands. They walked like partners, like people who belonged together, comfortable in a way Maya and Brad hadn't been in years. Maya's hands shook as she took out her phone and snapped photos. Brad and Kara at the elevator. Brad pressing the button, Kara laughing at something he said. The two of them stepping inside, still talking as the doors closed. Maya waited, Her heart pounded, so hard she thought other people in the lobby must hear it. At 5 o'clock, she approached the desk. "Excuse me," she said to the clerk, her voice steady despite everything. "I'm supposed to meet my husband for dinner, but I've lost his room number. Brad Morrison." The clerk typed into the computer, "Mr. Morrison is in room 847. "Thank you." Maya walked to the elevator, pressed 8, and rode up in silence. The hallway was long and quiet, her footsteps muffled by carpet. Room 847 was at the end, and Maya stood outside it for a full minute, breathing, preparing, gathering whatever courage she had left. She didn't knock. She didn't want a confrontation. She just wanted proof. Her phone buzzed. "Emma, you okay, Mom?" Maya typed back, "Found him. At his hotel, with her. I'm okay." Then she walked back to the elevator, rode down to the lobby, and left the hotel. Outside, the Boston evening was coming alive with people heading to dinner, to shows, to normal lives that weren't shattering. Maya walked without direction, just needing to move, to breathe, to process what she'd seen. Her phone rang. "James, did you find what you were looking for?" he asked gently. "Yeah, they're here. Together. I got photos." Maya's voice cracked. "It's real, James. It's all real. I know. I'm sorry. I think the worst part is how comfortable they looked. Like they've done this 100 times. Like I'm the intrusion, not them." "You're not. You never were." James paused. "What do you need right now?" "I need to know I'm not crazy. I need to know choosing myself isn't selfish." "It's not. Maya, it's survival. It's the opposite of selfish. It's teaching your daughter that she deserves better than this. That women don't have to shrink themselves to make room for men who don't value them." Maya found herself at the waterfront, staring at the harbor as boats rocked in their slips. She thought about Emma, probably doing homework at Rachel's, about the art show in 2 weeks, about the life she'd been too afraid to reach for because it meant admitting her marriage was already over. "I'm flying home tomorrow instead of Wednesday," Maya said. "I'm not staying to watch more. I have what I need." "Good. Emma's play is Wednesday. You should be there for that." "I will be. I'm done missing things that matter for someone who's already chosen to leave." They talked until Maya was calm enough to go back to her hotel. In her room, she ordered room service and looked through the photos she'd taken. Clear evidence. Undeniable truth. She emailed them to herself, backed them up to the cloud, made sure they couldn't disappear. Then she called Michael Chun. "I'm in Boston," she told him. "I saw them. Got photos. Are you okay?" "No. But I will be." "Are you talking to your lawyer?" "Tomorrow. I already packed Kara's things. When she gets home Thursday, they'll be in the garage. I'm telling the kids tonight that their mom made a choice, and now I'm making one too." "You're strong," Maya said. "So are you. You just don't see it yet." After they hung up, Maya pulled out her laptop and started writing. Not a confrontation email. Not an angry message. Just the truth, simple and clear. "Brad, I know about Kara. I know about Miami, San Diego, Austin, Seattle, and now Boston. I know about all 5 trips where you lied about where you were and who you were with. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. When you get home, we need to talk about how to tell Emma and what happens next. But we're done pretending. I'm done disappearing to make room for your lies. Maya." She saved it as a draft. She'd send it Wednesday, after Emma's play. After she'd had time to talk to Emma first, to prepare her. After she'd lined up a lawyer and figured out the practical details. Tuesday morning, Maya flew home. She went straight to the community center, where James was setting up her afternoon class. "You came back," he said, seeing her in the doorway. "I needed to be here. This is where I remember who I am." Her class that day was full, 15 people of all ages, all looking to create something. Maya taught them about negative space, about how sometimes what you leave out is as important as what you include, about how the empty spaces shape everything else. As she watched them work, she realized she'd been living in negative space for years. The empty spaces Brad left behind had shaped her entire life. Empty chairs at dinner, empty promises about being present, empty gestures that looked like love but felt like absence. After class, James helped her clean up in their now familiar routine. "The gallery called," he said. "Wanted to confirm your show. They're excited, Maya. They said your work is powerful. I can't believe it's really happening." "Why not? You're talented. You've been teaching others for years. Why is it so hard to believe people want to see your own work?" Maya thought about that question, because Brad always made it sound like a hobby, like something cute I did to fill time. I started believing him. And now I think he was wrong about a lot of things, but especially about me. That evening, Maya picked up Emma from Rachel's. Her sister pulled her aside before Emma could hear. "You look different," Rachel said. "Lighter. I know the truth now. All of it. I saw them together." Rachel hugged her tight. "What do you need? Lawyer? Money? Place to stay?" "I have a lawyer appointment Friday. Money I'm working on. But I think Emma and I are going to stay in the house. Brad can be the one to leave." "Good. Make him be the one to go. You built that home. You've earned it." Emma was quiet on the drive back. Maya reached over and squeezed her hand. "Your play's tomorrow," Maya said. "I'll be there. Front row." "Is Dad coming?" "I don't know. But I'll be there. And that's what matters." "Yeah," Emma said softly. "It is." That night Brad called. His voice was casual, easy. "Hey, how's everything going?" "Good. How's Boston?" "Intense. Back-to-back meetings. I'm exhausted." Maya closed her eyes, the lies washing over her one last time. "Well, rest up. Emma's play is tomorrow." "Right. I don't think I'll make it back in time." "I know you won't, because you're not actually in Boston for work." Silence. Long and heavy. "Maya, I was there, Brad. In Boston. Yesterday. I saw you with her. I have photos. So we can stop pretending now." More silence. "Then, when I get home, we'll talk." "Yes, we will." She hung up before he could say more. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear. From release. From finally speaking the truth out loud to the person who'd been lying to her. Emma appeared in her doorway. "You told him?" "I told him I know. The rest we'll talk about when he gets home." "But Emma, I need you to know something. This isn't your fault. None of it. And we're going to be okay. Better than okay." Emma ran to her, and Maya held her tight, both of them crying. Both of them letting years of pretending finally crack open into truth. Wednesday afternoon, Maya sat in the school auditorium front row center. Rachel sat beside her, a buffer and a support. James showed up 10 minutes before curtain, taking the seat on Maya's other side. "Thought you might want backup," he said simply. The play began, and Emma was magnificent. She commanded the stage as Jo March, fierce and uncompromising, refusing to make herself small for anyone. When she delivered her final speech about women having dreams and ambitions and the right to chase them, Her eyes found Maya's in the audience. And Maya understood. This wasn't just a performance. This was Emma telling her mother, "Be brave. Choose yourself. Show me how to be strong." After the play, Emma ran to Maya, still in costume, her face glowing. "You came." "Of course I came. You were incredible." Emma looked at the empty seat beside Rachel. "He didn't." "No. But look at everyone who did." Maya gestured to Rachel and James, to Emma's friends and their families, to her teachers and classmates. "Look at all the people who show up. They're the ones who matter." That night, the three of them, Maya, Emma, and Rachel, went out for celebratory dinner. They laughed and ate too much dessert and didn't talk about Brad or what was coming. They just existed in the moment, celebrating Emma's triumph, reminding each other that life continued and joy was still possible. When they got home, Brad's car was in the driveway. Maya's stomach dropped, but she straightened her shoulders. "Emma, go to your room, okay? Your dad and I need to talk." "Mom, I'll be fine. I promise." Inside, Brad was sitting at the kitchen table, still in his suit from Boston. He looked tired and caught and defensive all at once. "Maya, we need to talk about what you think you saw." "Stop." Maya's voice was calm, steady. "I'm not doing this. I'm not listening to more lies. I saw you. I have photos. Michael Chun has evidence from his side. It's over." "Michael Chun? Kara's husband? You contacted him. He deserved to know his wife was lying to him, just like I deserved to know my husband was." Brad stood, his face flushing. "You had no right." "I had every right. Just like I have every right to tell you that I want you to move out. This is my house. I built this home. I raised Emma here while you were off building a second life with someone else. So you're going to leave. Maya, don't be dramatic. We can work through this." "No, we can't. Because I don't want to. I don't want to spend another day pretending. I don't want Emma to watch me accept this. I don't want to be married to someone who doesn't see my worth. This is about Kara. This is about you choosing to lie to me 5 separate times. Choosing to miss your daughter's life. Choosing to make me feel crazy for seeing what was right in front of me. This is about 12 years of me making myself smaller so you could feel bigger. And I'm done." Brad sat back down, the fight going out of him. "What do you want?" "I want you out by the end of the week. I want us to sit down with Emma together and explain this in a way that doesn't blame her or make her feel caught in the middle. I want a fair divorce. I'm not trying to destroy you, but I'm not disappearing quietly either. And I want you to understand that this isn't me giving up on our marriage. This is me finally fighting for myself." Brad looked at her for a long moment, and Maya saw him really see her for the first time in years. Saw him realize that she'd changed, that she wasn't the woman who'd shrink herself anymore. "I'll pack this week," he said finally. "And I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I believe you. But sorry doesn't change anything. It just means you know you should have done better." Upstairs, Maya heard Emma's door crack open, heard her daughter listening. She'd hear the truth, not just about the affair, but about what it meant to choose yourself. What it meant to say, "Enough." Brad left the kitchen, and Maya heard him climbing the stairs to pack. She stood at the sink, looking out the window at the Hendersons' porch light, still burning steady after 43 years. She wondered if they'd ever had a moment like this, if they'd ever had to choose themselves or lose themselves. She'd never know, but she knew her own choice now, and it felt right in a way nothing had felt right in years. Her phone buzzed. "James, how did it go?" Maya typed back, "He's moving out. It's over. How do you feel?" She thought about the question. How does she feel? Sad, yes. Scared of what came next, definitely. But underneath it all, relieved. Light. Free. Like I can breathe again, she typed. Good. That's good. See you tomorrow at the center. Yeah, I'll be there. Maya put down her phone and walked upstairs. Emma's door was open now, and her daughter sat on the bed, eyes red from crying. Is Dad leaving? Emma asked. Yes. We'll talk about it together, but yes. He made choices that hurt us, and we're choosing something different now. Are you sad? I'm sad about what I thought we had, but I'm not sad about choosing us. You and me. We're going to be okay, Emma. We're going to be more than okay. Emma nodded, processing. Can I tell you something? I was scared you'd stay with him forever, that you'd just keep pretending until I grew up and left, and then you'd be alone with him and just disappear completely. Maya felt tears slide down her cheeks. Her daughter had been watching her fade away, had been afraid of losing her mother to a marriage that was already dead. That was the real tragedy, not the affair, but the years of slow erasure Emma had witnessed. I'm not disappearing, Maya said firmly. I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere. They held each other until Emma fell asleep. Maya tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and went to her own room. Brad was sleeping in the guest room. The bed felt empty, but not lonely, just spacious. Room to spread out. Room to breathe. Maya pulled out her laptop and opened the email she'd drafted in Boston. She deleted it. It wasn't needed anymore. The conversation had happened. The truth was out. Instead, she opened a new document and started writing. Not an angry letter or a sad goodbye. Just words about what she'd learned. About the cost of pretending. About the moment you realize you have a choice. About coming up for air. She wrote until midnight, the words pouring out like they'd been building for years. When she finally stopped, she had the beginning of something. Maybe an essay, maybe a speech for the art show, maybe just the truth finally given shape. She saved it and closed the laptop. Tomorrow she'd face the practical details, lawyers and finances and logistics. But tonight she'd done enough. She'd chosen herself. And that was everything. Brad moved out on Saturday. Maya watched from a window as he loaded boxes into his car, making trip after trip, dismantling the life he'd built in this house. Emma stayed in her room, not wanting to watch, but unable to avoid hearing the doors opening and closing, the footsteps on the stairs, the sound of 12 years being packed away. When he was done, Brad knocked on Emma's door. Maya stood in the hallway, close enough to hear, ready to intervene if needed. I want you to know this isn't your fault, Brad said. Your mom and we just grew apart. That's not true. Emma's voice was small but firm. You lied. You went on trips with another woman. You missed my play. You made Mom sad all the time. That's not growing apart. That's choosing to leave. Emma, I'm not mad at Mom for this. I'm mad at you. And I don't know when I won't be mad anymore. The honesty landed heavy. Brad didn't have an answer for it. He tried to hug Emma, but she stiffened in his arms, and he left without another word. Through the window, Maya watched him drive away. Beside her, Emma appeared, slipping her hand into her mother's. Is it weird that I feel better? Emma asked. No, baby. It's not weird. Sometimes losing something that was hurting you feels like relief. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of logistics. Lawyer consultations, financial planning, setting up separate accounts. Rachel helped with the practical details, while James helped with the emotional ones, showing up with coffee and steady presence whenever Maya felt like she was drowning. Michael Chun called with updates on his own situation. Kara had come home to find her belongings packed and Michael's lawyer's card on the kitchen counter. She tried to explain, to minimize, to blame the pressure of work and Brad's pursuit of her. Michael had listened and then told her the truth, that 5 planned trips weren't a mistake, they were a choice, and he was choosing differently now. She's moving in with her sister, Michael told Maya. And Brad? Where's he staying? Apartment across town. He's been texting Emma, trying to have regular dinners with her, but she's not ready yet. My kids ask about their mom every day. I tell them the truth in ways they can understand, that sometimes adults make choices that hurt people, and when that happens, other adults have to make choices to protect the people they love. That's good, Maya said. That's really good. We're survivors, Maya. That's what we are. Yeah, we are. The art show loomed closer, and Maya threw herself into preparation. She'd created 3 new pieces in the past 2 weeks, raw, honest paintings about breaking free, about finding yourself in the wreckage, about the moment you stop shrinking. James helped her transport everything to the gallery, both of them quiet as they hung the paintings in the order Maya had chosen. It tells a story, the gallery owner, Patricia, said, walking through the space. From disappearing to emerging. It's powerful, Maya. People are going to feel this. The night of the show, Maya dressed in a simple black dress and drove to the gallery with Emma and Rachel. Her hands shook as they parked, but Emma squeezed her hand. You've got this, Mom. You're amazing. Inside, the gallery was already filling with people. Students from Maya's classes at the community center. Parents of kids she taught. Teachers from Emma's school who'd heard about the show. And there, standing near the entrance, James in a suit, holding flowers. You clean up nice, Maya said, taking the flowers. So do you? Ready for this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Patricia opened the show with a brief introduction, talking about Maya's journey as an artist, about the themes of transformation and self-discovery in her work. Then she invited Maya to say a few words. Maya stood in front of the crowd, her heart pounding. She'd prepared a short speech, but when she opened her mouth, different words came out. 6 months ago, I was disappearing, she said. I'd spent so many years making myself smaller to fit into someone else's life that I'd almost forgotten I existed. I taught art, I raised my daughter, I kept a home, but I wasn't really there. I was performing being there. Then, my daughter asked me a question. She asked if I'd thought adults had everything figured out when I was her age. And I realized I was teaching her that being a woman meant erasing yourself for others. That love meant accepting lies. That your dreams mattered less than keeping the peace. These paintings are about what happened when I stopped disappearing. When I chose truth over comfort. When I decided that teaching my daughter to be strong mattered more than teaching her to be convenient. Some of you know my story. Some of you don't. But we all have moments where we have to choose ourselves or lose ourselves. This is me choosing. Thank you for being here to witness it. The room was quiet for a moment, then applause filled the space. Maya's eyes found Emma's in the crowd, and her daughter was crying and smiling at the same time. People moved through the gallery, stopping at each painting, reading the small plaques that gave context. Maya found herself answering questions, sharing pieces of her journey, connecting with strangers who saw themselves in her work. An older woman stopped her near the painting titled Coming Up for Air, the one that showed a figure breaking the surface of dark water. "This one speaks to me," the woman said. "I stayed in a marriage for 40 years before I finally left. People thought I was crazy leaving at 65. But I told them I had maybe 20 good years left, and I wasn't spending them pretending." "What happened after you left?" Maya asked. "I started painting again. Something I'd given up at 25 when my husband said it was a waste of time. Now I'm 70 and I paint every single day." She smiled. "It's never too late to remember who you are." Throughout the evening, Maya had versions of this conversation over and over. People sharing their own stories of choosing themselves, of the cost of pretending, of finding their way back to truth. By the time the gallery closed, Maya felt like she'd been part of something larger than herself, a collective remembering that they all mattered, that their dreams were valid, that shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's life was too high a price to pay. James drove Maya and Emma home, all three of them tired but happy. As they pulled up to the house, Emma pointed. "Look," she said. On the porch sat a package. Maya got out and picked it up, a card attached. She opened it to find a note in handwriting she didn't recognize. "Dear Maya, I saw your art show listing in the paper. I'm Kara's sister. I wanted you to know that Michael isn't the only one who's grateful you spoke up. Kara was destroying her family and didn't see it. You helped him save his kids from years of living a lie. I know this probably doesn't matter to you, but I thought you should know. You did the right thing. Diane." Maya showed the note to James and Emma. None of them said anything for a moment. "People are watching," James said finally. "What you did, choosing truth, choosing yourself, it ripples out. You gave Michael permission to do the same. You gave Emma a model for strength. You gave everyone at that gallery tonight permission to stop disappearing." "I just did what I had to do," Maya said. "Exactly. And sometimes that's revolutionary." Inside, Maya made tea while Emma went upstairs to bed. James stayed, helping her process the evening, both of them sitting at the kitchen table where this had all started weeks ago with a receipt from Seattle. "Can I tell you something?" James said. "When I first saw you at the community center, I thought you were the saddest person I'd ever met. You smiled all the time, but your eyes were empty. I recognized it because that's how I looked for a year after Sarah died. And now you look alive. Scared sometimes, stressed often, but alive. The light's back." Maya thought about that. The light was back. She felt it, in her art, in her teaching, in her relationship with Emma. Even in the fear and uncertainty of rebuilding her life, there was something real, something solid. "Thank you," she said, "for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." That's what friends do. After James left, Maya walked through the house, turning off lights. She stopped in the living room, looking at the space where Brad used to sit every evening with his laptop. The empty couch looked different now, not sad, just unused. Waiting for new memories. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it, her stomach tightening, expecting something from Brad or Kara. Instead, "Hi Maya, this is Diane, Kara's sister. I hope it's okay. I got your number from the gallery. I wanted to invite you to coffee sometime. I'm going through my own divorce, and your art show made me realize I've been disappearing too. Would you be willing to talk? No pressure. Diane." Maya stared at the message. She could ignore it, keep her life private, not get involved in more drama. Or she could respond, could share what she'd learned, could be for Diane what James had been for her. She typed back, "I'd be happy to talk. How's Tuesday?" Upstairs, Emma called down, "Mom, can you come here?" Maya climbed the stairs to find Emma sitting on her bed with her tablet, a serious expression on her face. "I want to show you something," Emma said. She pulled up the document, an essay titled, "What My Mom Taught Me About Being Strong." Maya's throat tightened as she read. Emma had written about watching her mother shrink over the years, about being scared she was losing her, about the moment Maya had finally chosen truth. She'd written about the art show, about the paintings that told their story, about learning that being strong doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the right thing even when you are. "It's for school," Emma said. "We had to write about someone who inspires us. I wrote about you." Maya pulled Emma close, both of them crying again. But these were different tears. Not grief tears or fear tears. Relief tears. Gratitude tears. Tears that came from being seen and valued and known. "I'm so proud of you," Maya whispered. "Not for writing this, but for being brave through all of this. For telling me the truth even when it was hard. For not letting me keep pretending." "I learned it from you," Emma said. "You taught me that the truth matters more than peace." They sat together until Emma fell asleep. Maya tucked her in and went to her own room, where she opened her laptop and looked at her finances. The divorce lawyer had outlined what would happen. The house would stay hers. Brad would pay child support. Her teacher income was modest but steady. She'd need to be careful, but she'd be okay. More than okay. She'd be free. Maya opened her email and found a message from Patricia at the gallery. 3 paintings sold tonight, and 4 people asked about commission work. "I think you have the beginning of a real art career if you want it." Maya read the message 3 times. A real art career. Something that had always seemed impossible, frivolous, too big to reach for. But here it was, being offered, because she'd been brave enough to tell the truth through paint and canvas. She typed back, "I want it. Tell me what comes next." Then she opened a new document and started writing again. Not about the past this time, but about the future. About the workshops she wanted to teach. About the book she might write about using art to process trauma. About the life she was building one choice at a time. She wrote until midnight, until her eyes were heavy and her mind was full of possibilities instead of regrets. Before bed, she checked on Emma one more time. Her daughter slept peacefully, no longer carrying the weight of watching her mother disappear. No longer wondering if love meant accepting lies. Maya stood in the doorway for a moment, watching Emma breathe, feeling overwhelming gratitude for this small person who'd been brave enough to tell her mother the truth. "Thank you," Maya whispered, "for not letting me go, for fighting for me when I couldn't fight for myself." Then she went to her own room and slept deeply for the first time in months, dreaming not of what she'd lost, but of what she was building. A life that was hers, a self that was whole, a future that was unknown but honest. When she woke the next morning, sunlight streamed through windows she'd forgotten to close. Emma was already downstairs making breakfast, badly, but with enthusiasm. The house smelled like burnt toast and hope. "I made you coffee," Emma called up. "It's probably terrible, but I tried." Maya came downstairs, took the mug Emma offered, and tasted it. It was terrible. Too strong, too bitter, made with too much love to complain about. "It's perfect," Maya said. And in that moment, standing in her kitchen with her daughter and terrible coffee and sunlight everywhere, Maya realized it was true. Not perfect like before, when perfect meant performing and pretending. Perfect like now, messy and real, and building toward something better. Her phone buzzed. "James, morning. How are you feeling?" Maya looked around her kitchen at Emma humming while scraping burnt toast into the trash, at the art supply catalogs spread across the counter, at the calendar marked with upcoming classes and Emma's soccer schedule, and her next lawyer meeting, and coffee with Diane, and a note that just said, "Keep breathing." She typed back, "I'm feeling alive." And she was. After years of holding her breath underwater, of pretending she could survive without air, of shrinking herself to fit into spaces too small for her spirit, Maya was finally breathing again. The road ahead was uncertain. There would be hard days and harder conversations. There would be moments she doubted herself, moments she missed the familiar comfort of pretending. But she'd chosen truth over comfort, herself over disappearing. And that choice had saved not just her life, but her daughter's understanding of what love should look like. Outside, the morning continued. People went to work and school and grocery stores, living their ordinary lives. But for Maya, nothing was ordinary anymore. Every breath felt deliberate. Every choice felt possible. Every moment felt like a gift she'd almost thrown away. She'd gone on 5 vacations to places he'd lied about being. She'd spent months collecting evidence and gathering courage. She'd built a file of truths that couldn't be denied. But what she'd really discovered in those months wasn't just about Brad's betrayal. It was about her own capacity to survive it, to choose better, to teach her daughter that being loved should never require becoming invisible. Maya finished her terrible coffee and hugged Emma tight. "Want to help me plan my next painting?" she asked. "What's it going to be about?" Maya thought for a moment, looking out the window at the morning light, at the world continuing, at the life she was building one brave choice at a time. "It's going to be about what comes after," she said. "After you stop pretending. After you choose yourself, after you come up for air and realize you're strong enough to swim." "I like that," Emma said. "I like that a lot." "Me too," Maya said. "Me too."